Hi everyone, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome to this webinar series on SharePoint Framework Deep Dive series. Uh, Today, Nandip is not joining us, so I will be hosting and I will also be presenting the session today. So just a quick glance on what we had in what the sessions which we had in our deep dive session, and also which are upcoming. So today we will be talking about PNP controls for SharePoint Framework. Before starting, just few housekeeping things. Okay, we are recording this webinar, and we will send the recording after recording and the slides after the webinar is over. And we would request all the participants to please be on mute so that we can present without interruption. If you have any questions, you can definitely put on the chat window, and also we would be having live Q&A portion at the end of the session. So please join anytime, but make sure you are on mute. Okay, so today we would be talking about PNP controls for SharePoint Framework. So if you all the samples or these presentations would be uploaded at this particular link. Little bit about myself. This is Siddharth Bagasia. I'm a technical consultant and at Office M365, primarily focusing on Microsoft 365, SharePoint, and .NET. I like to speak at various technical conferences, events, and on webinars. I'm a blogger also, where I write on my personal website and also on C# Corner. You can also find some of the reusable components which are developed at my GitHub repo, and I'm an active pattern and practice contributor member. Okay. If you want to connect with me, you can use any of the social handles which are being displayed here. Yeah, moving ahead, agenda. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with a little bit about PNP initiative, and then we will be discussing the PNP controls like content react controls and property pane controls, and then we'll be seeing some demos, and we'll conclude with Q&A. So PNP initiative, right? So PNP basically stands for pattern and practice. This is basically an initiative which is kind of owned by Microsoft and specifically SharePoint engineering team within Microsoft, and but it has support of the community. Okay, so what it provides some sample solutions, guidance, best practices, SDKs, and tools which are basically open source, and we can use it in our solution as a developer, or as a we can also contribute to this library, to this initiative the way we want it. So what I would like to do is there was a quick landing page which was been launched few days back, which is basically a single stop page wherein you will see all the links, resources, libraries which are available under PNP initiative. So if you see here, these are some of the scheduled calls or the community calls which are happening under this initiative. Some of them are happening bi-weekly, once in a month. Some of them are happening every week. Okay, depending on your interest and depending and the community calls are being divided into different topics depending on different interest areas. So you can join. So if you are looking for something for SharePoint Framework, it happens bi-weekly on every Thursday at 7 a.m. PT or 2 p.m. GMT time. Okay, and there are calendar meeting invites and calendar invites also here, and if you can add it to your calendar also. Then what they provide, they also provide guidance on best practices on modernization and the community content, and how to use SharePoint, or say different guidance around new features of the SharePoint, and everything are being uploaded here. So you can use different links for the guidance. They also have a PNP YouTube channel wherein they upload all the community calls which have been recorded, plus demos which have been given by the community people, and also some of them are from Microsoft, and all the other videos are available on the YouTube channel. Right? Next, they also provide samples and solutions like lookbook. If you see, it basically gives you a PNP template using which the out-of-the-box feature you can basically create some stunning landing pages onto the in your SharePoint site collection. It also provides some samples on columns and view formatting, then samples around SharePoint Framework extensions, and then some sample web parts. I would recommend you guys to look at this too if you are more into SharePoint framework. And if you are getting started, you should see the samples. There are many good web parts and extensions which are already available, which we can also use in our solution, plus we can extend it if we want to. And you can also contribute a new sample web part or an extension if you think will be useful for the community. Then there are also PNP modern search solutions. These are the solutions which are available, which you can use. Coming to SDKs, there are some libraries and tools and SDKs which are available, which we can use. Like one of the good one is SPFX Yeoman generator, PNP Yeoman generator. So as we all know, out of the box Yeoman generators allows us to create use either no JavaScript framework or React framework or Vue.js when we are creating a SharePoint framework based solution. This basically, if you are installing or if you are using this PNP based Yeoman generator, it is extension to out of the box generator, which also allows you to create different other frameworks like Angular or Handlebar or Vue.js, extended Vue.js, plus jQuery also, right? Within this SDK, we have seen in the previous session that PNP.js library, right? So this also comes under this SDK, which is basically developed by the community, and community people are adding new libraries and new commands, or say a new way of doing things. Okay. Today we will be talking about this particular two libraries: SharePoint Framework React Reusable Controls and SharePoint Framework Reusable Property Pane Controls. And then there are some tools like Office 365 CLI and PNP PowerShell commandlet. So this what it gives is these are the extension to out of the box PowerShell command. Okay, there are some advanced commands which are available here, which we can use to manage our Office 365 tenant, or to get data from the SharePoint, or to create PowerShell scripts. Okay. So really good information if you bookmark this page, and if you wanted to, if you are developing some solution or if you are learning, this is kind of one-stop shop where you have all the links, which is or all the initiatives which are running under PNP at single place. Going back to slides, okay. So coming to the PNP controls, right? So as I said, PNP controls are basically reusable components, okay, which are open source, and they are specifically made for SharePoint framework solution. So this library cannot be used outside of SharePoint framework solution, because it is very much tightly coupled with the SharePoint framework, right? And as the PNP initiative is owned by SharePoint Engineering team, this also comes under the same umbrella. So the PNP controls are owned by SharePoint Engineering team, but it is developed and supported by community, right? So all the controls which we see are not necessarily coming from Microsoft. Basically, it is coming from the community, like people like us who would like to develop something and contribute to the library. It provides us out of the box UI experience. Okay, why is that? Because the controls which are being developed or which are available there are based on Office UI Fabric or say Fluent UI based solution. I mean based controls. So it is being used as a base. On top of that, the controls are being developed. So it basically these are the additional controls which are available other than Fluent UI or Office UI Fabric. Okay. Now some of the controls are SharePoint context driven controls. So when I say SharePoint context driven control, it means what happens is some of the controls by just providing the context to the control as a part of configurable attribute or property, we can it will take care of automatically getting data from the SharePoint and populating it into drop down in the controls, right? So we don't need to also take care of getting the data and then appending it to the controls. Okay, not all the controls are SharePoint context driven. Okay, but some of the controls are SharePoint context driven, which can be directly used without writing our own code to get data from the SharePoint. Then it also these controls also have extensible events. Okay, so when I say extensible events, it means it allows us it gives us some callback functions or events which we can basically override or which we can use to perform our own business rules or logic. Like if it is a drop down or if it is text box. It provides us on selected, on change event, so that we can capture the data which is been added by the user and do our own business rules. So as I said, just to see where these controls place in a typical SharePoint page, right? So if you see, this is just an example of SharePoint Workbench. So the content controls which are available would be basically rendered here on the content part of the web part, and the property pane controls would be rendered on the property pane part. This is nothing but the web part configurable web part configurable UI which SharePoint framework allows us to create. So there are out of the box controls which are available in the property pane also. But if something is not available there, okay, we can go to this library and we can check whether there are some controls which are available and which we can use in our property pane. Now, so this is basically the PNP SPFX control library, React library. The current version is 1.18. And to just install, what we have to do is we have to typically run an npm install command, okay, with the library name. Not necessarily we have to use both together. If you don't want to use any property pane control, you can individually use the React control library. And if you don't want to use React control library, you can also use property pane control, right? So just a quick glance on some of the controls which are available. Okay, like just for an example, there is a list view control which is available, which basically gives us the out of the box UI experience. So if you see, this is very much similar to what we have in our out of the box list view available in the SharePoint, right? So this is one of the controls. This is basically like jQuery data table. Okay, we can get data from the SharePoint and we can directly use it in our SharePoint framework based solution. Then there are some of the chart controls which are available, which you can directly use. Then there is a taxonomy picker control available, which is basically allows us to select terms taxonomy within our SharePoint framework based solution and use the selected terms to maybe filter data or insert data into as a managed metadata column, right? So just a list of what are the controls which are available. Okay, I won't be going into detail of this, but we will see in the documentation part what are the different controls available. So if you see here, there are some of the controls which are marked in orange. Okay, so these are the controls which are basically SharePoint context driven controls. Okay, which basically is directly directly been available for us, so that it automatically gets data from the SharePoint and the control is binded automatically. Right? The other controls which you see which are in black are not directly SharePoint context driven, but it has to be used in your SharePoint framework solution. But what we have to do is we have to manually write our own code to get the data from the SharePoint, or say maybe any, not only SharePoint, you can use any data source like Graph API or your custom web API or your Azure Function API, and populate into the control. So understand these are basically controls, right? So when I say controls, it's basically more like the HTML controls which we have, like input, drop down, or say choice or radio button. So these are the controls, similar controls, okay, but it has additional features. So let's quickly go through the documentation. So if you see, this is again kind of homepage of SPFX React content control. Okay, on the homepage, if you can see, there are getting started guidance on how to install the package and how to use it. And if you go to the controls, you can see all the controls which are available. So there are around 25 plus controls which are available as a part of React content controls, which we can use. Just to quickly go through a couple of them. Like for example, there is a folder picker control which is available. Okay, so what it does is it will basically if you provide some configurable property like the document library name or say the path of a particular folder, it will automatically get all the folders within that root folder or the folder which we have given and render it onto the page. Okay, so it automatically will get the data, and plus it will also render it. And the nice thing about it, it gives you the out of the box experience. So if you see, this is basically a select folder control which allows you to select a folder, right? So it also has breadcrumb. It also has, the selection property. You can also create new folder directly from here. So this was been recently added in the last version. And there are implementation guidance on, what are the different properties available. So depending on what you need, the control you need to use, you should be referring to the documentation and see what property is meant for what, and then you can accordingly configure that control, right? Another one is
security train control. Okay, so if we remember during the old days, in the master page we used to use this ASP.NET security train control, which is basically a control which allows us to control what the user would see depending on the user permissions, right? So if you configure a permission on this control, and whatever controls or whatever content you put inside this control would basically be only rendered if the current logged in user had this specific permission. So just for an example, if you are using something like this in your solution, and if you say the permission level is kind of current web, and the permission is view pages, then all the content which you put within this control will only be displayed when the user has view page permissions. Okay, so this is again really a useful control which can be used. So rather than controlling what I'm getting the current logged in users and his permission level, and then controlling what needs to be displayed, we can directly use this control. So similar way, there are other controls available. We will be seeing demo of a few of the controls. Moving ahead, there are field controls also available. So if you from the last session in SPFX extension overview, we have seen that there are out of the box. Now we can use SPFX extension field customizer to override the rendering of the fields in the out of the box views, right? So this basically these are the controls which can be used in that SPFX extension application customizer. So something which cannot be which might not be available out of the box, or which might not be controlled from there, okay, can be controlled from here. So depending on what kind of controls you wanted to use, what you wanted to do, you can go here and you can check it out. If something is useful, you can use it in your solution, right? Then yeah, moving ahead. Okay, so this we already discussed. Then list of PNP property controls. Okay, so again here, if you see, some of the controls are marked in orange, which are basically SharePoint context driven control. They are directly mapped with the SharePoint, and it will automatically get data and render it in the control itself. Okay, it has a different, basically different library, so it has a different homepage. All other things kind of remain same, like the installation part and everything. And if you see, there are around more than 10 controls which are available. There are more than 10 controls which are available here. And like for example, we can use people picker control in our property pane. Okay, so before checking whether these controls, the controls which you wanted to use needs to be used here, uh, which you wanted to use, you can, what you can do is you can go and check the out of the box property pane controls which are available. Okay, so onto this page, if you go little down, we see these are the controls which we can basically use in our property pane fields. But what happens is, these controls basically would be, this can be used, but if something is there which we wanted to basically use it in our property pane control, and it is not available out of the box, we can go and check this library and use. Like, so for example, if you see, there is no date picker control available here, which is maybe a common use case. So and there's a date time picker control which is available here. Okay, so this can be used in our property pane control. Okay. Moving ahead, so we'll go back to the demos. So what we will do is, we'll first see couple of property pane controls, how to use couple of property pane controls like multi select and color picker. Then we will see React based control like taxonomy picker, file picker, and review control. Then what we will do is we'll connect both the property pane controls and the list so content controls, like we will use the list picker control in the property pane, and we will get data from the SharePoint and give the data to the list view content control so that the rendering would take place. And also we would walk through basically a custom SPFX form which would add data to list. Okay, a typical scenario, if we are developing something custom, right, we won't be adding data to most probably a single list. There would be multiple lists which would be coming, and within this we would be using people picker control, list item picker, and also some Office UI Fabric or Fluent UI controls which are available, right? So I'll quickly go to the demo. So in interest of time, what I did is I have already created a SharePoint framework based solution. So this is the React based solution which I have used, and I have created 3 web parts. Okay, for the first 3 scenarios which I discussed just now, like to see the property pane control, and for content control another web part, and for list view demo another web part. So let us go and start with property pane. Okay. So as of now, this is basically the default code which Yeoman generator does have created for us a typical React based solution with some welcome messages and everything, right? Let us quickly see the output. So what I'll do is let us run it in the context of SharePoint framework only. So I will be using SharePoint framework workbench only. So this is my property pane control, right? And it would have a default description, property web part property which it creates for us. So we will see demo of first multi-select here. Okay, so I'll go to multi-select. So basically this control is to allows us to select multiple drop down in this in the property pane control, right? So how to use this control? So what I have to do is also please understand I have already installed the packages, right? So these packages are already installed and we can be directly used. So first I will import the library, okay, sorry, the module in our component. So for that, as it is a property pane control, we will be doing it in our webpart.ts file. I'll just import it. Okay, I already have the import available. The next thing is we would be using a property to hold the data which has been selected by the user. So this is multi-select. Just give me a minute. I think there's some noise coming. So just give me a minute. I'll pause for a minute.
Can someone please confirm? Is it better now?
Yeah,
It's better now.
very better.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Right. So yeah. So this is basically the properties which you will be selecting, and the values would be stored in this particular property. If I go back, so
Siddharth, you're not sharing anymore.
oh sorry.
Yes.
You guys are able to see, right?
Yes, Siddharth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is property pane control. So I have added the web part property to it, multi-select, and then what we have to do is we have to use that particular property control in our get web part property pane configuration window, right? So if you see here in the groups, there is already a default control which was available, which is basically the description one. And what I will do, I'll just add a new one here. So these are the options which are available, like English, French, and some other language. And this is how the selected value of this property would be basically hold in the property which we have created, right? Just save it here. Okay, so next thing we will do is we will use these values, we'll pass it to our React component and display it onto the page, right? So for that, what I will do is I'll go to my property pane control. I'll create a basically a similar property here, like multi-select, and I'll pass that property from my webpart.ts file. So I'll say multi-select this dot properties dot multi-select. Now in our React component, we will just display it. Okay, so here what we can do is we can use this dot properties dot multi-select, and as is it is basically array of the selection, because multiple selections are.
I'll quickly slice it and join it with comma. Okay, so it has been refreshed. Let me quickly refresh the page. So if I go, yeah, Harsha.
Still there is a noise now.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, is it good now?
It's okay now.
Okay, yeah. Right. So if you see, the multi-select field is here, and I can select multiple values, and it will display here in the comma separator. Okay, so please understand, this kind of multi-select control is not available in Office UI Fabric. So if you wanted to use in a property pane control, you can use this one, right? The next one which we will be seeing is the color picker. Okay, so it basically allows you to select the color, like giving this beautiful UI. So again, same thing. I'll just first import it. And what I will do is I will create a property to hold the selected color, right? And I will add it to my property pane. Okay. Then I will again go to my.
I'll add property to hold that selected color, and then I will pass that from my webpart.ts file. Properties.color, and in this case what we will do is basically if you see in the out of the box UI, we have this background color, right, blue. So what we will do is we will basically change the color depending on this color which has been selected in the webpart property. So for that, what I'll do, I'll say style equal to background color, and this dot props dot selected color. So there is a color picker control which is available, and depending on the color I select, the background color would be changed automatically, right? So as you know, basically this is based on React. So what you see is, you know, basically the reactive part of it. As soon as I'm changing the property, the rendering of the controls is also being changed, right? So this is the property pane control. Now what we will do is we will quickly see demo of the content control. So in the content control, so this is the content control library. We will first see demo of file picker, right? So this control is basically, you know, kind of gives us an out of the box UI experience to select the file and also to upload the file. So there are different options available through which you can select the file. Like you can select from the current site and the document libraries would be listed, or you can select it from the OneDrive, or you can manually upload it, or you can also provide a link to it, right? So again, same, we will first import it. So as this is the React, the content control, what we have to do is we have to use it in our React component, right? So I'll go to my React component, I'll import the library, then I'll use the file picker control and put it in my render method. It needs to, as I said, this is basically SharePoint driven control, right? So what it needs the web part context to actually work, right? So for that, what we have to do is we have to pass the context from our webpart.ts file to our React component. So for that, first we will create a property in my content control of type webpart context. Then I will pass it from my webpart.ts file using this .context method, right? Now, so okay, so this is done. Okay, but what would happen is, you know, we need something to hold, right? Once the once the file has been selected, right? So here by default, if you see, it is automatically setting, you know, an object of file picker into this state. So what we have to do is we have to create a state object, right? So for that, I'll create a interface which will hold my results which has been selected. So this is basically an interface of the state. Then I will use it in my React control. Okay, all these things I think we have already discussed in our previous session, like SPFX with React. Then we have controls. Then we have to use the constructor, and within constructor we will initialize the state. By default, I'll keep it as null, right? And then let's do one thing. Once it is selected, okay, so what it does is it returns us basically a JSON object, right? Now the JSON object can be used, which will give you the URL of the selected file and the file name and file name without extension. Okay, so to do that, what we will do is we will add a button, and on click of button, let us just, you know, display the alert on what the file the user has selected, right? So for that, I'll use button, and I will add a button here. Right, so this is basically a simple Fluent UI button, and there is a submit method. On click of submit method, we will display the alert, right? So for that, I'll create a submit method, and let's just alert it, right? So I'll say this dot state dot file picker result. Okay, but as this is an object, we won't be able to see it. So what I'll do is I'll just stringify it using JSON. So basically what we are doing is there is an on change event in the file picker control, which would be triggered as soon as the file has been selected, and within that the state is been set in this particular attribute, file picker result attribute, and on click of the button we would be displaying that, basically alerting that state object, the file picker object which has been selected. So for every control, if you see, there would be different attributes or properties which would be available, which you will be able to basically use it and configure it according to your need. So these are my content controls. So if you see here, there is a submit button and there is a small icon here, right? So this icon is coming because we have an property which says button icon file image, so it automatically use the Office UI Fabric icons and display the file icon. But if you wanted to display some text, you can also do that. I'll just say select file, I save it, so it will basically display as label. Okay, and on click of it, if you see, there is a file picker control which basically kind of uses the out of the box UI experience. It will display recent documents. It will display, if you go to site, it will display all the document libraries here. You can also upload your custom file, and you can also put some links here. Okay, so this is basically one thing to note here is it will not automatically upload it somewhere. Okay, so it will just, this is basically a file kind of picker which will give you which will give you the object, the file which user has selected. So like for example, just I'll select one file here. Okay, and I'll just say open, and once I click on submit, so if you see, there is an object which is coming, which is basically file absolute URL, which gives us the URL of the file name, and the file name without extension, right? So this is about file picker control. Next control which we will see is the taxonomy picker control. So this is the taxonomy picker which will basically allows us to select taxonomy. Again, same thing. Okay, we will go import it and add the control into our React render method. Then I'll just put some line breaks, and it is asking us to override this particular text picker chain, right? So what I will do is I'll just copy this and I'll just overwrite here, and rather than logging into console, let us alert it like the way we were doing. Using JSON stringify. Okay. So if you see here, there it also allows us to select which term set name or ID from where we wanted to allow user to select the term set, right? So here I have given countries. Okay, so what I did is in my tenant I have created a term store with the name term set name countries. You can also provide ID here, so it will automatically connect. It will get the terms which are available within that term set, and it will render it onto the page. And so this is how the context has been passed, right? So all these things are, some of the things are already configured in the documentation. Okay, but if if you are looking for something which is not available, you can refer the documentation and you can change according to your need. if I go here, it is loading. So this control can be typically used when you wanted to basically build something like filtering data based on managed metadata, or if you are creating a custom form which we want to allow user to select a particular term set, this can be used. So see, this is the control which was been rendered. It also gives you the autocomplete feature. So as soon as I select it, if you see, the object has been displayed onto the alert. And it also allows you to select using the tree view control, like if I select Canada and if I say save, so it will now give me Canada and USA which was been saved. So this is another example uh, to use the taxonomy picker control. Third one which we will see is tree view control, and this control is basically allows us to display the tree view. Okay. So this again, this control is developed by Nandeep and me, and contributed to this library. So as I was saying, under PNP initiative, we can create something which is reusable and we can contribute to the library. So this we have contributed in the last release only, where there are many configurable options available through which you can basically create a tree view kind of structure. Okay, this control is not SharePoint context event control, so you need to get data and you need to pass the data to this control in the way it is required. And the basically the schema of the items or the object which it needs to which you need to pass is been already available in the documentation. So using this you can basically render the tree view control. Okay, so let's see this in action. So I'll just import preview. Okay, again, and I'll just use the control in my render method. Right. I'll quickly fix this some of the imports, okay, which we have to add. So here is a small documentation error. Okay, so what you have to do is this basically property default selected key properties will allow you to default put the selected items default, okay, on the page load itself, right? And then these are some of the events which you can override. I don't need on render method, so I'm going to remove this, but let me use on tree select. And also on expand collapse. Okay. Now it needs the object, right, which we need to display. So what I will do is I will basically declare a private variable. So this is basically hard-coded data, okay, which you can use, but you can extend it and you can create a dynamic data by getting data from SharePoint or any data source and using it. So I'll declare it as a private variable only here, where items. Okay, I don't need the icon. So this is basically also allows you to override the default icon which has been displayed if you want to basically override it. But I don't need that, so I'll just delete it. Okay, what I'm doing wrong. Right, and now I just have to configure it in my control. This dot items. I'll just save it. So let's quickly go through the properties which are available. Okay, so it allows you to define whether you wanted to have the preview, default, expanded or collapsible. It also allows you to select whether you wanted to do single selection mode or multiple selection mode. Then it also allows you to configure whether you want to display checkbox or not. And then this, as I said, default selected keys, you can just say this, give the keys and the item would be basically default selected. Already added. Let me just refresh this page. So if you see the rendering of the tree view control is happened according to the according to the object which we have given, right? And it also allows you to basically add the contextual manual to the item, and it can be configurable. So all you have to do is you have to make that particular JSON object which it requires, and it will render it using out of the box kind of out of the box feature. Now moving ahead, what we will do is we will see list view demo. Okay, now we will connect the dots. We will use a list picker property pane control and pass that basically selected list to the content control and get data from the SharePoint using PNP.js and put it into list view control, right? So for that, first thing, as I said, we will be using property pane list picker control. So this is basically a good control which we can use, which will automatically get all the list and libraries in the current SharePoint site where your web part is being deployed, right? And you can also configure whether you wanted to use list, whether you wanted to display libraries or you wanted to display both. Okay, so as it is a property pane control, first thing is we would add it in our part.ts file. Then we would use this particular property to hold the data which user has selected in my web part properties, and then I will use the property list picker in my get property pane configuration method. Okay. So this will add the control. Now next thing is we have to pass this selected list or the value which will be selected by the user to the React component, right? For that, again, what I will do is I will create a property in my React control. And then pass it from here. This dot properties dot list. Right? So now the property is being passed there, right? Going to the React control. Now we need to use list view control, as I said, right, from the React. Okay, so I'm going to the property pane React content controls. I'll go to list view control, and this is how the controls would be rendered, right? So I'll first import it. I already have the import statement, right? Then I have to just add the control to my render method. So let me put it here somewhere. Okay, and then we need to give the property values which we wanted to use, right? So let's build this one by one. I don't need group by, so I'm deleting it. I don't need default filter, so I'll delete this. Okay, let's just put get selection method. Now I have to give them the items basically by querying the SharePoint list, creating the object, and also provide the view fields, because this view field will display how many numbers of columns you wanted to display in your list view web file, right? So let's do that one by one. Okay, first thing is let's create a state variable, right, for this usage. So this is list view demo. So here if you see I have items and I have the selected list, right? Then we will use the state object here. Now let's add constructor In the constructor, we will, you know, just initialize the state, right? And to get data, what we'll do is we'll use component did mount method, wherein we will be using PNP.js to get the data, right? So this is my list view mount method. Okay, here what I'm doing is I'm first checking whether, you know, the properties is been selected, property pane web part property is been selected or not. If not, there is no point in getting data, right? So this is just a separation of concern. So I've created a get item methods. So let's define the get item methods. So here, if you see, we have seen in PNP.js demo, right, that we can use PNP.js to get data from the SharePoint. So what I'm doing here is I'm using this sp.list.get by ID method, and I'm passing the list ID. Okay, so the list picker control basically returns you the list ID rather than the list name. Okay, so I'm using that list ID which is been which will be selected by the user, passing to PNP.js, getting the data and setting the items in the state object, right? Now we have got, I'm from using this method, we will get the data. Now what we have to do is we have to give the view fields, okay, the basically the column schema which the list view control can use. So for that, this is my list view field variable, right? So this is basically an array, okay, wherein you have to pass the objects for number of columns you wanted to display. So what I want to do is I want to display ID first, then I wanted to display file name. Okay, you can also add any number of columns you wanted to add. Okay, just we have to make sure that the name property of your view field is, you know, mapped with the data which you are passing it to the control. Like in items object, the array of which we are using, there also should be the property name ID. Otherwise, it won't be able to basically connect that particular property from your object to this view field. Okay, and here the second column we are using file name, where I'm, you know, configuring the display name as name, but I'm saying that, you know, you get me the file from the file.name object. So let me just save this, and I'll also add a component did mount method. I'll explain it why we need this. Okay, before let's first see the demo part of it. Okay, so we have done. Now what we need to do is we need to just pass the state object to my view and also my view fields to the control. So this is a different web part. So I need to, you know, again add that web part to my workbench. So once it is loaded, I will add that. Here also, if you see, there are some properties available, like, you know, if you want selection, select single selection or multiple selection, what you want to do when item is selected. So all the callbacks methods are available, and depending on that, you can further enhance the control and get the required business requirement. Let me just refresh this page and add list view demo web part to the page. So if you see, the web part is here. Okay, it is displaying blank list view control now because we have not selected anything. If you select the edit the web part, you can see the list view control, you know, the list property pane control displays on the property pane side of it. Now what I need to do is I just need to select a library, and as soon as I select the library, it will get the data from that library and display it here. Okay, so what I'm doing, I have done is I have used ID and name column, which is very common, which will be available across all the lists and libraries. Okay, might be in the real case scenario, you would have to control, you know, because you would have custom schema defined for your list and libraries, right? So you have to define your own custom view fields and make sure, you know, the fields which are being returned from the data source, whichever the data source can be, is mapping the view fields so that the view list view control can use it. So again, if I just change to something else, maybe documents, it will get the data from the documents. It will also get data from the list, okay, because list also would have a name column. So this is about the demo part of it, okay. So as I said, there are many controls available which we can use, which can be basically leverage in our SPFX solution to accelerate our development, right? The last part of the demo is basically walking through an SPFX form. So let me quickly go over it. I'll just kill this and I'll go to my asset request project. So see, before going into that, what I wanted to explain, I just wanted to explain a business scenario on what demo we are going to see, right? So consider, you are developing an asset request management for an organization where a user can request for assets. Okay, now your assets can be, a typical assets like, a computer, a device, a phone within your organization, which maybe your employee wants to use and for a maybe for testing purpose or something, and you want user to basically create a single request for multiple assets, right? So for that I have created an asset list, master asset list, wherein we would be storing all the assets, okay, like airport, iPhone, camera, and everything. And there are two different lists, like asset request list. Basically, this will be the master list, which would have the common properties which we wanted to capture, like from which date to which date the asset he wants to request for which date, who has requested it, and in the request detail, basically it would be parent-child relationship, so that the single request you can basically in the single request you can ask for multiple assets, okay. So all the particular assets which they are requesting would be stored here, right? And there is a relation using lookup column, so which we can see here, right? So this is a typical scenario which we have to use, and for that we will be displaying for which we will be displaying a custom SharePoint framework web part, right? So until the Gulf sub is running, what I will do is I'll just quickly walk through the code. So here, as I said, we are using multiple of controls. Like we are using PNP control, like list view. We are using people picker control. We are using date picker control from Office UI Fabric. And using it. So combination of these controls can be used to develop a complex SharePoint framework based solution. So if it has already done, no. So till it is running, I don't have any configurable thing here, so I didn't create any property pane controls. It is purely using React content controls. Okay. Then I have, let's go with first PNP.js methods, which is basically storing data. So on click of submit, what we are doing is we are using PNP.js methods like and adding data to our SharePoint list. So first it is basically adding data to asset request, and for each selected asset it is adding data to asset request detail. So this we have already seen in our previous session. So this is using PNP.js. We are basically performing the CRUD operations. Okay. Okay, so it is added. Let me quickly add in my SharePoint context and see the demo. It is yet not loaded here. Okay, so till then let's quickly see what kind of controls we are using. Okay, so I'm using people picker control from PNP, and what we are doing is we are using default selected user property to basically set the current logged in user into that control, right? Then we have date picker control, which is from Office UI Fabric to select select date from date and to date. Then I'm using list view control, the demo which we have seen previously. Rather than getting data from the SharePoint and displaying it here, what I'm doing is I'm creating a custom object as soon as the asset request is being asked and populating it here. So this is basically, you know, populating via the custom object rather than getting data from the SharePoint. And then we are using dialog boxes to display some dialogues, like where user can select the assets, and using list item picker. So list item picker is another very good control which we can use for allowing autocomplete kind of thing. Okay, so it will automatically, by you, what you need to do is you need to provide list ID, okay, from which you wanted to get data, and you have to provide the column name, okay, and you have to set the limit whether you want to have single selection, multiple selection, and it also gives you callback method what should happen on selected item. So as soon as you do this, it will automatically get data from that particular list based on the column name, and it will automatically populate it, right? So this is, again, as I said, right, this is SharePoint context driven web part, right? So this is done. Let me just refresh the page. Okay, my web part name is request form. Okay, so if you see, this is the form which I have created. Okay, it has people picker control, as I said, and it will automatically you know, add the logged in user here. There is a date picker control which allows you to select the date. Here there is a list view control which will be used, okay, but we are allowing user to select asset, right? As I said, it would be selecting multiple asset. So on click of add, I'm displaying a dialog. Within that dialog, I'm using that list item picker, okay, and the data source of this is our master asset list which we have seen. So if I say iPhone, it will auto give me auto suggestions, and I'll say, you know, reason for taking selfie. I can add multiple. I can say laptop for playing games. Don't put this reason. And then you can add multiple asset request. Okay. And on click of submit, we are displaying a success message using dialog box that, you know, your request has been submitted successfully. Now, if we go to the list, asset request list, if you see, there is an item created just now, right, with the request title, with the date which I have selected and who has requested it. And if you go to request detail, there are two items which has been created recently for the 13th May, which is basically directly the things which you have selected from there. So just to reiterate, you know, that we can create complex SharePoint custom forms using custom web parts, but it also would give you out of the box UI experience. So the look and feel which you have seen, it was giving you a good out of the box UI experience, right? So that's it from the demo side. Okay, let us conclude. Okay, why would I use them, right? So first thing is, we don't have to reinvent wheel. There are a good amount of controls, useful controls which are available, which you can directly use rather than developing it from ourselves. It will accelerate our development. It can also be extended because it is an open source library, so that you can use it and you can extend it the way you need it. And there are SharePoint specific controls which are basically, you know, again, advanced controls which can be used rather than, you know, writing the code to get data and adding it to the controls. And there are some controls which are available from first party SharePoint solutions also. Okay, now when to use what, right? So this is, you know, first go and look for the Office UI Fabric or Fluent UI control, whether there are some controls which are available. If control which you need, if it is available, you can use that. If not, you can go to PNP reusable controls and see if, you know, it fits your requirement and something which you can use. And that is also doesn't solve your purpose, then you have no other option but to build yourself, right? So this is and you can, if you can also see whether, you know, you can develop some generic controls and contribute to the library so that it is available for community also to use, right? Moving on, these are the resources, but if you go and use this single URL, you will get all the resources which are available under PNP control, which you can, you know, basically leverage. inspiration, some of the content, or see some of the topics which I have picked is been inspired by few people like Vesa, Elios, Andrew, and Joel. They have basically written some articles, and there are some videos which are available through which basically help me to understand what is PNP controls and how to use it. So that's it. Thank you from my side. And next is on the 16th of May, we will be there's a next session on library component in SharePoint Framework solution, which will be delivered by Nandip Nanchan. A very interesting concept here, on how to build a reusable component within your organization for your particular tenant, which you don't want to share across. Okay, but these components can be used across your SharePoint Framework solutions. Okay. So that's it from my side. I'll stop the recording and we can go for Q&A.